I suspect that Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, when he heard that Saint Abrego Garcia was coming back, took a shower, put on his nice suit, got on Open Table, found out what maybe party of two reservation they could get for tonight so they could continue the bromance they started when he went back to visit Saint Abrego in El Salvador. Look,
the President of the United States was awake last night, concerned about our law enforcement officers. Pete Hegseth was involved. Everybody was there. What can we do to bring peace? What can we do to bring stability? What do we do when we have guys like Hakeem Jeffries standing up in front of the world and saying it's okay to kill ICE, it's okay to throw things at law enforcement officers, it's okay to do that? That's not okay. Not in America. We have rules. We have laws.
We have rules, we have laws in the United States. They only apply to one side of the aisle, is what it seems like. Hakeem Jeffries, Karen Bass, mayor of Los Angeles, came out yesterday and basically encouraged people to protest, encouraged people to do this. This is not Benghazi. This is not the embassy where Hillary Clinton refused to send help. No, this is downtown Los Angeles at a detention center. And these protesters are actively pursuing ICE officers, DHS, FBI, law enforcement. This is absolutely insane. On the phone, you have Kristi Noem. I've got one question. We are seeing the effectiveness of ICE Homeland Security. We are seeing the effectiveness of the United States military. Recruitment is through the roof right now. You know you're doing something right when this many Democrats come out and protest. None of these people have jobs. Obviously, they're living on some EBT. They're in Commie-stan. But you know you're doing something right when they are protesting this passionately. Before we get too far in this video, smash the like, subscribe, thumbs up button. Consider joining the channel. It'll really help out a lot more than you know with the algorithm. And we're going to talk a little bit more about CNN and their response and how they try to defend this. Let's finish up this clip here with DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. And I love what she's doing now.
People are murderers and rapists. They have consequences, and we are going to make sure that they face consequences. But those statements put out by Newsom and Karen Bass is absolutely ridiculous, because what we need is action right now. I mean, be people that are leaders for once. And let's not go back to 2020 when they were burning down the city of Minneapolis and you had people like Tim Walz encouraging it. I mean, this has been going on now by Democrat politicians for years, and that's why Donald Trump is in the White House. He's the only guy who fights for every single American. And I'm so proud to work for him. I can't believe it. I can't believe that these dummies in the Democrat Party are still around and getting elected.
Secretary Noem, you talk about consequences. One of the folks involved here was labor union leader David Huerta. Is he going to go to jail? And what kind of penalties could we expect to see for him? And is this the opportunity to send a statement to so-called leaders about what they do with respect to the actual rule of law?
You know, I don't know what the prosecution will be like, because obviously we've got judges out there that are weaponizing the judicial system as well. But
did you see that? They're throwing rocks at police officers. And some labor union, the janitor union, has been arrested, the leader of the janitor union. Well, he could go scrub toilets in prison for all I care. But DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is absolutely right. We don't know what's going to happen because of all these liberal judges that are actually allowing people to sneak out of the back of the courtroom. This is insanity. Leave a comment down below. What do you think should happen to these people?
Yes, I believe that we will press charges against everybody that has broken a law last night, and we should do that, and we'll continue to do our ICE operations. We'll continue to make sure everybody in this country has the law equally applied to them. And these leaders, I don't think we need to make examples out of them. I think we need to make examples out of criminals. And if the leaders are criminals, then they need to face the consequences too. That's just the way this country works, and that's how freedom works. Freedom works when everybody has justice applied equally to them.
You know what should be done here? We know that we have the capability within our federal government to trace cell phones. And I firmly believe that's what should happen here. They should pull out this little cell phone tracker, trace them all down to where these incidences are occurring, go and grab these people and throw them directly in jail. Now, we're going to shift gears here a little bit, back over to Maryland with the Maryland man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And Kilmar's back in the United States. He's going to go to prison here in the United States. Whenever he finishes his sentence here, he's going to leave. But CNN last night had a panel with Scott Jennings. And I don't know how Scott Jennings does this, but he just consistently torches the Democrat Party right to their face.
On video. You all are completely downplaying what we know. We know plenty about this person.
What?
We know that he lived in the country illegally for 14 years. I know it's okay with you.
I said that.
That's
That's not
we know.
time out. No.
We know.
That's not. That is not okay with me. But that's not. But that's not a. But that is literally.
First of all, we all know that you both interrupt each other all the time.
That is not a crime.
To live in the country illegally?
That's not a crime. That's a status offense. Stop telling people stuff that's not true.
I am just, my mind is so blown here.
Go ahead and finish.
By the last 2 nights
Scott,
with you about
it's not a criminal offense.
Bakari, just can we give
it's a civil violation.
Bakari, can we give Scott?
So he's in the country illegally 14 years. That's number one. We also know what his wife told the courts and law enforcement about him. That he was violent, that he beat her.
But he's not being charged with that.
That he
That's
was.
hearsay.
That he was. So you said we don't know if he's a bad guy.
We don't.
I trust his wife when she runs off and says, "Please protect me from
What
this
if his
man."
wife said, "This man's great"?
And
You wouldn't trust
prosecute
her.
him.
That's
you're
insane.
acting like we don't know things. We
Prosecute
do know
him.
things. We
Prosecute
know.
him.
And so,
Prosecute
at
him.
a minimum, what we know should be more than enough for anybody at this table to say, "Yes, please
Scott,
get him the hell out."
Let me ask you this. Do you
Prosecute him.
Let me ask.
I don't know if you're shaking your head at me or him, but the fact is he deserves due process.
You know, I suspect that Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, when he heard that Saint Abrego Garcia was coming back, took a shower, put on his nice suit, got on open table, found out what maybe party of 2 reservation they could get for tonight so they could continue the bromance they started when he went back to visit Saint Abrego in El Salvador. Look, he was not deported because he was a bad guy. He was deported because he was an illegal immigrant living in the country illegally for 14 years, who had gone through due process, who had an existing deportation order. It so happens that it turns out he may in fact well be a really, really bad person that we would not want in the country. Here are his possible outcomes. Number one, he gets convicted of this stuff and goes to prison for a long time. Number two, he gets acquitted and goes back to El Salvador, which is what I suspect the White House would do with him if he somehow gets out of these charges. Either way, it's what the White House said all along. There's no future where this man, the Maryland man, goes back to Maryland to live quietly in the suburbs.
But that's not the.
When you see CNN on a nightly basis pandering for criminals, it should tell you everything you need to know. We don't do that here. This is the Ben Dykes News Channel. Little salty takes from a veteran about what's happening around the world. We need to get back to focusing on what we need to do. And Donald Trump, from day one, has started doing what needed to be done, getting criminals out of our country, removing them from taking Medicare, SNAP, EBT, all these other subsidies that the taxpayers are paying for. Will we do that when we get to be so effective that the Democrats and all the other criminals come out and protest, violently protest? You know you're doing the right thing. This is Ben Dykes News. Hit the like, subscribe, thumbs up button. I'm out of here.
And can an amen and a boom shakalaka go right there?